And we're back. The body now, since last on the camera, I put one more coat of the thin CA glue. And now, and then I sanded it with 400 grit. I like to point out that when you get to the 400, I try to concentrate more on getting it smooth. And like the term kindling, if you face the car and turn it until you can, the glare of the light, the shop light I have, will show up little crevices that you're trying to sand out. When you get all that out, then you've got a perfectly smooth body. It's kind of hard to do that and get it all out without sanding away the car, but that's what you're trying to do, is call it kindling, and you're trying to get the body real smooth. This car's getting real smooth at this point. I would like to emphasize, I don't know if you can pick this up on camera, but when you sand this, obviously you've got the CA glue, which is making your body strong and stiff and sealing the balsa. There's a spot right here. We're doing the sanding. That is raw balsa right there. It's not completely sealed, and I'll be hitting that, concentrating on that area. Here's another spot over here, and one more coat's probably going to take care of this body. There's 4 coats of the Super Sand CA glue on this body at this point. 3 coats were sanded with 220 sandpaper, and the last coat was sanded with 400. Now I'm going to, and some of you are going to say, well, aren't you going to have glue stuck to your fingers? Well, this is true. After this one, I'll come back on camera and show you how I get rid of that. I haven't got rid of all of it yet, but you can see most of it's gone. I'll show you me doing that. It's a combination of just picking it off with your fingernail, and the only thing I have in the shop right now that helps aid getting it off is denatured alcohol. Acetone would probably work better. By the time you pick it off, rub it with acetone and paper towel, and take a bath. It's pretty much all gone. It ain't going to stay there forever, but unfortunately that's the only way that you can do this process. This is a product that you can buy locally at the Lowe's store. It's Loctite super glue. It's a much thicker glue and doesn't run as bad. And I like to mention with the CA glues, where I buy it, there's also these applicators that you can add, because after a little bit of use, they do get clogged up and so on and so forth. Here we go. Here's, after your glues stop coming out, I put these pins in the end, and it clears it back up where it's still, then you can go on and use it. And sometimes you have to cut off the tips of them to get it to free up. But if you have, especially with the thin glues, you will need to buy a package of these CA glue applicators. In this package I bought, it's got 2 different sizes, the long one and the short one. If you cut clear down here, you're going to have the glue coming out way too fast, so the smaller the tip, the better. So now we're going to put on, I'll just start it, and then I'll come back on camera after I've sanded it, and we'll try to take the glue off. It's the same principle. You just put, this is thicker and easier to control, and it doesn't run as fast, so the working time is better. Just put a little bit on. I'm not going to go through all of that, but I'm going to paint this on the car, and I'll come back on camera. Well, here we are back on camera. think when we went off, I told you I was going to apply the Loctite super glue that you buy at Lowe's. I painted that on with my finger, sanded it with 400 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to attempt to show you how I take the glue off that's on my finger. I don't have much on this time, so anyway, I just take my fingernail, catch it on the corner, and just start picking it off like so. You can get most of it off and then use an acetone or denatured alcohol or something like that to assist getting it off. And by the time you do all that, take a bath, it'll be all gone. It don't stay on forever. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all that at this point. Now I've attached a balsa stick. If you don't have access to balsa, I sell 4 sticks of this, so I paint a lot of cars on my website. But it's nothing that you have to buy from me because balsa is available. I've wiped down got all the dust off with my little handy dandy shop towel. You know, you can see these are just the right size. If you can imagine a big sheet of the Bounty towel, which you're wasting, that's a really handy size right there. I've just started doing that recently to try to make the hobby a little bit more economical, because Bounty paper towels are expensive and I use a lot of them. I buy this blue tape at a auto paint store, and you just cut a section off. Get over here and get my X-Acto blade. Now, where am I hiding my X-Acto blade? Things disappear on my workshop bench. Ah, where is it? There it is. Anyway, you got to keep the paint out of your axle holes. And I just place that there like so. Press it down. Take my X-Acto blade. Cut it off. Go to the next hole. Do the same thing. Just put it on like so. Trim it off with your X-Acto blade. And the last hole. That will keep your paints and primers out of your axle holes. Now we're ready to put the first coat of primer on. So I'll shut the camera off and come back after we have the primer put on. Okay, here's the car after the first coat of primer. It's going to not really be the way you would want it, but we're going to sand the primer off after it dries for a few minutes. You can see there we got some work, but that will disappear after we sand it a few times. You think by feel and look after 5 coats of CA glue that it would really be perfect, but it's not. This is the way they always turn out. Just a little bit of information. Some of you might be using a spray gun, but I like the rattle cans because it's quick. There's no cleanup. Of course, we want to, I use a respirator. And we need some ventilation. And my door is open, so I have ventilation on one side of the shop, but the door is open and the screen's open. I'm lucky to live in North Carolina because we have warmth. We happen to have a little heat spell right now. I think it was 74 degrees yesterday, and it hasn't cooled off a whole lot since yesterday. Now, I like to spray in my shop You know, it does create a little bit of mess, but I spread out a blanket and spray over the trash can, and that collects most of the overspray.